do you subscribe to the Quran as being in some way science proving some of the Quran? Or
No,
do you
I don't
step away from that?
No, I don't view it that way.
Okay, good.
If there are certain facts in the Quran, as an example, I'm just quoting,
Yeah.
do not the unbelievers see the heavens and the earth were joined together and we clove them asunder?
Yes.
Just a
Yes,
common
no,
example.
that's a good one to use.
Yeah, it's a common example. Now, it is talking about some phenomena there. Yeah?
Sure.
Whether we want to call it the earth, the heavens, whatever, it's talking about something. Now, unfortunately, my view is that the word science itself, yes,
Yeah.
only meant knowledge. And knowledge is quite a huge spectrum, okay? But applying the scientific method nowadays, we seem to have, is this scientific, is this not scientific? Yes? It's not, is this knowledge or is this not knowledge?
Yeah.
So, it comes in many forms, in many facets. So if I look at that verse, I think to myself, okay, it's talking about the earth and the heavens. It's addressing a particular group of people. It's saying, do you not see? What is it that is being described there? Yeah? The heavens and the earth were joined together. Now what does that mean? I cannot investigate it by just speculating, and just saying, this is what it means. No, it is addressing a particular point, and I want to look at it and see what is it. So I start looking at facts relevant to the subject matter, and I'm starting to say, wait a minute, the whole of the universe may have been compressed. Is that what it is talking about? Okay, let's investigate further.
Yes.
Let's see what exactly it's trying to say. I might come back with the best answer possible, but it may not necessarily mean that is the answer that it is considering. Yes? So
And I think you're on safer ground when you say that, in the sense of like God is sending a message,
Yes.
and this is almost like a part of the message, but
Yes.
we shouldn't take it as in like literally what science is showing. It's just like almost like a metaphor in a sense. I think you're more on safer ground with
I
that.
wouldn't consider it a metaphor. I mean, if it's talking about physical aspects of the universe that we know, So when it's saying the heavens and the earth were joined together, now the earth is solid. We know there's something there. There's some matter being considered. So to me, can I consider that to be a scientific statement, or can I consider it to be a statement that seems to be telling me about a certain aspect of what we call scientific inquiry? Which one would it be?
I'm not sure whether it's either of those, and you can tell me why. It seems to me when I read that part that there's a message there for people, and this is like by the by. So, oh Muhammad, do you know that I created this, and here's what you need to do. So it's almost like, just in a sense, it's like Allah's telling Muhammad how wonderful he is, and here's part of the attributes that I'm telling you how wonderful I am, and here's part of my attributes.
Yes.
So don't concentrate on that, but concentrate on the rest of the message I'm giving you. Because if it was really about science, wouldn't Allah have gone into much more detail? So it's like a passing comment almost, in which case I'm fine with that.
Now, if I can agree with what you are thinking, but if I were to turn it around and say, right, you are saying that if it was to do with science, then the Creator would have gone more into detail. Why?
To be more accurate, because when I look at the verse as an external person, and I compare it with what the inflationary model tells us, they don't exactly match. Now we can do a little bit of a conversion to make it match, but it's not as accurate. So looking from externally, that wouldn't be the best explanation that I would have used in the book.
Right. Okay,
example.
let's look at it that way. But let me take the words for what they are. Do not the unbelievers see? The heavens and the earth were joined together. Then we clove them asunder. Now, why is it not fitting with the inflationary model?
Good. Okay, good question. So, what was the first part? Say the first part again.
Do not the unbelievers see?
Yes.
The heavens and the earth.
Good. We stop there for a moment.
Yeah.
Why did he say the heavens and the earth?
That's why I'm asking you.
Okay, good. So, what was the earth? So, if we step it back, because this is essentially my understanding from when you talk about this, you want to step it back and go, the earth was part of this singularity and they were clothed asunder.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, if you take the verse for what it is, how is it not fitting? So if we follow what you just said, if the earth is made up of components, and we take it right back to its origin, what is it?
It's matter, isn't it?
It's matter.
Correct.
But if we are to take matter and compress it, are the heavens going to be included in it?
The heavens would
The
be
way we understand it.
the way you guys understand it, yes. Which
How
is
do
the
you
seven.
understand it?
So the heavens for me isn't the word I'd use. I'd use the word space, but maybe that wasn't a word they used in those days.
Let's say.
Different word.
Yeah, let's say. But the concept is there. So now I would ask that if we were to take that according to that understanding and we are to compress it, are the heavens and the earth together?
Yes.
Okay. And then they are cloven asunder. Before we go there,
Okay.
if it is compressed, anything that happens thereafter will fall into the inflationary model.
Correct.
So when it says we clove them asunder,
Yes.
what is that?
Good. So the problem I have is that they've used the word earth, because what came before the earth?
Okay.
What is required for the earth to be here? If we look back in cosmological
right. Okay.
time.
Excellent question. Let's address it that way.
Okay, yeah.
If you are here and you are looking at the earth, okay?
Yeah.
And then you are told the heavens and the earth were together, will you understand what the import is of the verse?
Will I understand the import of the verse?
Yes. When it is revealed. Because you know what the earth is.
At the time, I guess one could
Absolutely.
say that. At the
but
time.
now, at that time, when it came down, you could understand why the word earth was used. Today, when we look back at it,
Yes.
we would have to ask that further question. The heavens and the earth were joined together, and then they were cloven. At one time, they were together, and then they were cloven asunder. The question I would ask is this, because the premise of our discussion is, can we consider it to be a scientific statement?
Yeah.
Or is it alluding to a particular fact? Yeah? Now, I would suggest that the verse is talking in scientific terminology. What I mean by that is we know what the earth is constituted of.
Yeah.
Okay? If I were to divorce knowledge from science the way it is being done, unfortunately, today, then we would have a problem. But if we are to include all information as knowledge, yes, and the scientific method is a separate thing to science itself, yes. I would find, just as an example, this verse is talking about natural phenomena. Whether, as you said, if you want to give it an esoteric bend, fine, but we have to come to the conclusion that, well, it's talking about earth. Well, we know what the earth is, yeah. It's talking about sama, heavens, whatever that is, okay. You can call it space, okay. But it is talking about what we would consider today as natural phenomena. Now, if it is talking about natural phenomena, does that come within the window of science?
I would say so, yeah.
Into it. So if I was looking at that verse, I would have no harm in saying, well, it seems to be leaning towards a scientific element here. What is the fact is what we need to answer.
Sure. So why would it not be better to have said the sun and the heavens were cloven asunder? The reason I asked you that question is because before the earth, the sun had to be here. The earth could not have been here if you accept cosmology in the sense of...
When we say, if we accept cosmology, the way we currently understand it.
Yes.
Okay.
The way the solar system came about is through accretion, isn't it? So stuff's spinning and spinning.
Yes.
Started with the sun.
Something. Well, that is what is theorized.
Yes, unless there's... I'm not sure there's any other competing theories. So
not at the moment.
That's the best evidence we have.
Absolutely, yeah. Best explanation.
Sure. Yeah. So the sun was the first thing in the universe, then the planets eventually formed.
No. No.
Okay.
The sun in the universe.
No, sorry, the solar system.
In the solar system. Yeah.
My apology, misspoke.
No problem.
The solar system. So the sun is the
As
center or the first thing in the universe.
Is it because it was a big body according to our understanding?
Correct.
Which is not a problem. Logical.
Gravitational, etc., and everything else started to spin. Then the planets formed.
Okay.
Correct. So the planets came after the sun.
Yeah.
So just from a logical point of view, from my point of view, from God looking down, giving the message, wouldn't it be more logical, in a sense, to say the sun and the heavens were cloven asunder? Because at least the sun was before the earth.
Right.
Now I do accept that even in those days people looked at the sun, but they might not have understood the sun. So it could be that your explanation says, well, the earth is a better way to understand it. I'm going, if I look at it now, is that the best explanation of using those two words?
Yeah. From what you are saying, I can understand your point of perspective. But there's one element you have not considered here.
Go ahead.
You see, if we were to take the logic that you applied, then wouldn't it have been better saying the sun and the earth? Yeah? Is that what you said?
The sun and the earth. No, the sun and the heavens.
The sun and the heavens were together.
Or
Let's say that. But does that mean that now you have restricted the universe only to the solar system?
No.
Okay.
But they didn't know about this. Remember, they didn't know about that.
Now who did?
Well, the Almighty theoretically.
Okay. Now today, if we look around, you are actually pointing out a fact here. Because if today we are addressing this, we are coming to the conclusion that everything, not only the solar system, but the whole of the universe was compressed, from what we understand today.
Yes. Well, the only reason I say that is because
I don't understand what you mean by that.
The only reason I say that is they don't use that words because I was listening to Alan Guth, and I always used to say, oh, there's a singularity. We talk about a singularity. He's going, don't talk about the singularity. The only thing we know for sure is that the universe inflated in a very short period of time. We don't know what's before that. So I went, okay, I'm not using that word anymore.
I can agree.
So compressed is probably a word, but we don't know what into is essentially what they say.
Agreed. But whatever it is, whether it was a singularity or it was not a singularity, the one thing we can accept, at least for the time being, is that everything was compressed.
Yes.
So, logic is dictating that the appropriate statement that is made by the Quran is entirely correct. It would have been an error had it said the sun and the heavens. Because today we would have turned around and said, well, that's not all the universe is. So you are actually proving the statement correct in a way.
Not sure that's the case.
That's fine, you're entitled to that, but if I can just follow it through.
Carry on.
So you're absolutely right. Why couldn't it? But then there's a logic here, I think to myself, right, okay. I don't know if you've, Professor Roger Penrose wrote a book.
I know of him, I don't know the book necessarily.
Right, okay, not a problem. It's about 1,100 pages. It's this thick, okay?
Right.
And he's going through all the equations in relation to how, it all started with Plato, Aristotle, and the Platonic mathematical ideas, etc. And he goes in, and he goes into a lot of detail, And I'm reading that, and I'm thinking, right, okay, now this is just one aspect, Because this logic, that why didn't the creator say X, why didn't the creator say Y? If he was going to explain why did he not say X, actually, if you think about it, what about the brother?
Not for me. I've got water here.
Are you sure?
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Thank you. So, I think to myself, now, the logic here is actually proving how the Quran has actually come down. Because if you think about it, I'm sorry, I forgot the name. Rob.
Yes.
If you think about it, let's take physics. To know everything there is to know about physics, how many books do you think we would need?
Who knows? Too many.
Too many.
Infinity.
But that's only physics. You're right, actually. Physics. Now, if we are to take every subject matter that is in a local university, how many books of information would you need?
Tons.
How then are you going to compress all that information into succinct statements and contain it within a book containing 1,000 pages? How would you go about doing that?
You'd have to edit it down.
But to do that, you would need to know absolutely everything about the subject matter.
I'm guessing so. Well, do you? I don't know that you do. I mean, I'm not sure you'd need to know everything
that
about the
subject. That would be
subject.
illogical. If you don't know everything about the subject matter, you will never be able to condense it into the appropriate statement that is required to be able to explain everything.
Oh, now you're saying explain everything. Okay, fair enough.
No, about the subject matter, obviously.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
So, the logic is actually fitting there. Because a lot of people say, why didn't the creator, if there is one, why didn't he say X, Y, and Z? And I'm thinking, wait a minute, if you use the same kind of logic to your everyday life, you will actually establish why the Quran, as an example, came down the way it did. Because every statement, many Muslims will tell you, look, it contains statements which conceivably would not have been known at the time it was revealed. So we call them scientific truths or scientific statements. Now, I don't hold to words like that. What I do say is if there is a statement that is purporting to talk about a particular aspect of natural phenomena, then it needs to be investigated.
Absolutely.
And when that investigation is undertaken, we have to see whether it is fitting within the model in totality. Now, here's a bit of an issue that me and you will have. If I look at the statement, I go back 500 years, when we hadn't known about a lot of this, that statement was still present. But the way it was interpreted wouldn't have been the way it is interpreted today. Correct?
Possibly,
Yes. But if there was a far-sighted individual and he put it down, he said, look, this is what I think it's talking about, And then today we found it, a lot of us would consider him as a seer, S-E-E-R, yes? One who was able to, like Nostradamus. Yeah, he was able to see what was going to happen in 1999. It never happened. But the point is, that's how we look at people. Yeah? Now, the way I view things is simple. If there is a statement that is talking about what we would consider natural phenomena, and in today's system we call it scientific X or scientific Y, then I would be compelled to say, well, it is talking about something which we can consider to be scientific. Whether it is or isn't is a matter of debate. And only the facts will establish the truth of the assertion that is being made.
So I think where we're at is you're saying that this...
It's well hot. Sorry.
Good. No, that's all right. At least it'll get cold eventually. Scientifically.
There you are. See? Yeah.
So that's why I say I think that the where you're on safer ground is not to push the scientific thing so much, which you don't do, to be honest. In the sense of like going, hey, this is scientific. Look how it's been proven by inflationary model. We don't. There's a few guys here that do that, and fortunately, I know you've gone into an explanation, but you don't come and use that as a proof, do you? That's not something you would do.
No, what I do not do, you're absolutely right. I would not push it like that. But I am hard pressed to find somebody who can disprove it. Now, in that context, how one wants to take it, because I know that at this moment in time, we don't know everything there is to know about the universe. We don't.
Correct.
Okay? And there's a possibility that tomorrow this whole model may change. Now, the question is, when it does, will it fit within the statement that is considered? Yeah?
Yes.
To me, it's open. But it's still talking about natural phenomena. And the way it has spoken about it, one has to consider 1,400 odd years ago, would somebody have come up with such a succinct statement, considering, as you rightly pointed out, that the only thing that was observable are the things you talked about, the sun, the moon, the stars, etc. So for any person to go beyond that, one has to look at that and think about why and how this came about. It doesn't necessarily prove an assertion one way or another, but it is something to be considered.
It is. I'm not a historian, but my thought is that there could have been other people around, and so other people say that those sort of theories were common at that time. You might say, no, that was a unique theory. Nobody thought about the world in that way. I've heard other guys here go, no, the Sumerians or whoever it was. Yes. I'm not a historian, so I don't know. They had a similar model. Yeah. Be that as it may, if we look at it, so if this is a message for all time, and I come as a non-believer, which is exactly what the word, non-believers, do they not see that the heaven and the earth were? Yes. Now I look at that and I go, okay, that's an interesting statement, but if I'm being quite critical about it, it doesn't accurately represent what science says. So I'm fine with it being almost more allegorical, but if I'm going to hold a fairly high critical bar, I'm not going to accept that as an accurate representation today. You would quite happily say it's an accurate representation of what they knew then, which I'm not necessarily going to argue with. I'm not a scientist to know what they didn't or didn't know at that stage. But if I look today, the way that the inflationary model is described, which you kind of have a bit of a backdoor to, I notice, going, it's the best explanation, but it's not the all-powerful one.
No, I didn't say that. I said it isn't in totality, do it?
Sure.
We know it can change.
But you did make the statement that went, if it all changes tomorrow,
yes,
which is highly unlikely. What is most likely to happen is we'll just keep improving it. It's not like tomorrow we'd suddenly go back to the steady state model.
Yeah, yes.
There is a flat earth. You heard him. Yeah. I was laughing. But I'm on your side, by the way, on that.
Not to worry. Yeah.
It was comical.
I see. But respectfully, Rob, what I was saying to you, that look, according to what we know today, yes, because I can see what you mean and I understand. Yeah. If I'm looking at the inflationary model, yeah, I'm saying tomorrow it can change. Yeah, I'm not talking about the whole thing being taken out, because there are certain things which you can't reverse. Okay, so when I am saying to you, look, you are saying from a scientific point of view today,
yes,
that particular statement would not fit. Yeah.
Yes.
Now I did ask, okay, what doesn't fit with the inflationary model?
the way the statement is written for a non-believer today. So had that statement said, "Oh, disbelievers, do you not see that in the beginning there was an expansion of unbelievable proportions, and that's how everything was created?" Now I'm going, wow, that's extremely accurate. The way it's phrased there for me, would you agree with me that I'm at least somewhat reasonable to look at that and go, that doesn't match exactly with what we say today, just the way it's written today as a non-believer with a critical view of that, going, that doesn't exactly match what's today. That's all I'm saying.
Right, I can agree with you. What I am asking you in return is, okay, I accept what you are saying, that it doesn't. But what I am asking you is, what doesn't?
So for me particularly, the part about the earth. Well, even the heavens, although I understand that was the terminology used in those days. However, just my very low brain, no Allah involved here, if I were writing it, another way to have written it would have been to say, "Oh, non-believers, do you not accept that, from a small point we rapidly expanded into the heavens that we see today, the earth, the sun, and everything that we see, and therefore why would you not believe?" So if it had been written or stated differently, that would appeal more to me. Now I can go, wow, that is very accurate. But what I notice is that a lot of the verses are very broad, and then they can be, quote, interpreted. And some people, and I think you've alluded to a little bit, and the very tall fella says that as well, well, hey, science isn't an absolute. I agree. But that also gives Islam a back door, because Islam's bar is very high. Christianity's bar is very low. Christians go, hey, the Bible is inspired. You say the Quran is directly, word for word, what Gabriel said to Allah. So your bar is very high.
Absolutely.
Whereas the Christian bar is much lower. They can go, hey, it's all allegorical, it's just words, here's the central message. The challenge then becomes that some of those verses are very broad, so they can be, quote, interpreted in certain ways. If tomorrow we found out that in fact it was a steady state model of the universe, somehow that could possibly be reinterpreted, or other verses could be interpreted to match that.
Right.
That's the sort of issue that I have.
Yes, but you see, for you to be able to establish whether it would be, how can we say, manipulated.
No, I wouldn't use that word. Just interpreted.
I'm using it.
Okay.
Yeah. To fit whatever we found, because that is what it will have to be. It is stretching the imagination. However, if, for example, we say, okay, tomorrow we've decided that it was, we revert back to the steady state, then in effect you are saying it is totally debunking the idea of this expansion model. Yeah, the inflationary model.
I'm positing that, yes.
Yeah.
Not that would happen, but yes.
No, but that's the point though. If it is not going to happen, then it is purely speculation. However, when the verse that we are referring to is talking about, again I'm asking, you see, when it says the heavens and the earth were joined together, we clothe them asunder. Now, when it says they were joined together loosely, okay? I'm asking you, what is wrong with that statement?
It's either not entirely accurate or more could have been added. So in other words, the earth...
Let's start with the not entirely accurate.
So, because the earth itself is a small component of even the visible things they could see at that time.
Agreed.
So, if it had said, for example...
No, sorry, Rob.
Go ahead.
In the context of what we know today, the heavens and the earth being joined together, what is wrong with that?
Just the earth part. Why would they not just say...
Is it wrong first?
It's... When I say wrong, what word would I use? It's not entirely accurate would be a better way to put it.
Not entirely accurate means that you are saying, yes, it is true, but not as true as I want it to be.
Or a better way, it's vague. It's vague.
Right, wait a minute. If we are going to talk about it being vague, I would agree with you. But if we know that there's the heavens, and the earth is not a vague issue, is it?
The earth isn't vague.
It isn't. So it's talking about something which we definitively can accept. But the point is not that. The point is the verse is actually saying the heavens and the earth were joined together. I am saying I can agree with you, and you are right where you slightly took it back and said, well, I wouldn't say it is wrong. I would say it could be better. Yeah? What I am saying to you is, look, for you to be able to determine what you just said, you now are going to have to confidently assert to me that you know in totality everything there is to know about the workings of the universe, for you to be able to confidently assert to me, look, this is how it should have been put. Can you do that?
No, I can't.
You can't. Okay, let's take it.
Okay, but why do I need to do that? Because even if we go back to the time of 1400 years ago, the Earth was not the only thing that was out there. They could see, what could they see apart from the Earth?
It was one. The moon, the stars, the sun.
Correct. By the way, just as a side point, are those all included in the heavens, or are they separate like the Earth?
Now here is, what a good question. I'm asking you see, we are introducing additional elements, which is fine, but I would say now if this verse is saying the heavens and the earth, would that include all the stars and the moon, the sun and everything else?
It could or it may not.
Right, excellent. I would suggest it is. Why do I say that? Because it is talking about the primal origin of the universe. When he's talking about the heavens and the earth being joined together and then they were cloven asunder, when we use the second aspect of the verse, cloven asunder, okay, we would call it an explosion, call it a whatever.
Yeah.
But the point is, it has mentioned a specific issue which today we are aware of in more detail than we were then.
Correct.
Correct. But when it says the heavens and the earth, everything is being included. In fact, the question you asked goes back to the first issue you raised, where you said, why didn't it say the sun and the earth? Had that happened, today me and you confidently would have said the Quran got it wrong.
Not necessarily.
Oh, now you can say that even that would have been justified.
No, what I would have said is
Agreed.
that potentially that's a bit better.
Potentially it is better, but it would have been wrong, because if it talked about the entirety of the universe, the solar system is an aspect of the universe.
But it didn't talk about the entirety of the universe, did it? It just said the heavens, which
there
is
we are.
what they knew at the time.
I'm so glad you mentioned it. So tell me, what does heavens strictly mean?
So my understanding of heavens as a non-believer, or do I need to give you your definition?
I don't mind whichever one you want.
Okay. So my understanding of the heavens is what we can physically see when we look up there, apart from the clouds. So on a
Excellent.
starry night, we see
now,
the heavens.
Would I suggest to you that are there what you would call conventions in language? Are you familiar with that?
Go ahead.
Yeah. Conventions in language are certain things are used to mean a certain thing without us wanting to definitively explain what it means. Are you following?
Okay.
Okay. So when the word heavens is used, yes, say in the language, in the Arabic language, does it restrict it to what you think? Or is it maybe more expansive? I would suggest it is more expansive.
It's more expansive, and why do you say that?
If it is, like I said, there are conventions of language, then you go to the lexicons and find. But I am saying to you, because when it uses the word heavens, it is talking about the vast expanse. Now, the point is not that. The point again I'm returning to, whatever you say, that look, it could have been improved. The statement could have been better. Whatever it is you posit,
yes,
I would say to you, I can agree with you, but for one thing.
Yes.
For us to confidently assert a particular aspect of the statement being correct or incorrect, we would need to be in possession in totality of all the facts in relation to that matter. Do we agree?
No, not necessarily. Explain why you say that.
Let's take the scientific view here. Yeah?
Sure.
We will never be able to say this is absolutely scientifically true. Can we say that?
No.
Why not?
But nobody ever claims that. So now you're going to
I agree with
an
you.
impossibly high bar.
I agree. What was that, an impossibly?
High bar.
Excellent.
Yeah.
If me and you have a bar and we, for 1 second, include a creator, where would the bar be?
If we include the creator, where would the bar be? For what?
For establishing whether in totality we know about the subject matter.
So you mean if we posit that there is a God?
No, I'm saying, you just said it's an impossibly high bar. I'm saying for us
science,
humans,
just when you use the word
exactly,
science to be absolutely 100% true.
right, why not?
Because we're not able to have all that information, we're somewhat fallible.
Not only fallible, at this moment in time, as you are rightly pointing out, possibly without realizing, we have limited faculties.
Sure.
And by definition, with limited faculties, none of us can say we absolutely know everything about a certain subject matter, can we?
No.
We can't. So the question therefore arises this: if you are going to confidently assert to me, look, this statement could have been better written, Yeah, this statement could have been better written. I would suggest, okay, no problem, I can accept your premise, but that premise ought to be backed up by what I'm about to suggest. That for you to make an absolutely, again the word absolutely.
But I'm not making an absolutely.
I'm so glad, because if a statement comes from an absolute entity, yes, we would have to consider the statement according to that understanding. So logic is dictating to me that if you tell me, well, this verse doesn't actually represent the facts the way they are today.
Yes.
I am saying to you, wait a minute, let's not look at it that way, let's look at it the other way. Does the statement, or what it is alluding to, does it agree with what we know today?
Broadly.
I'm so glad. The fact is you agree that it does. Whether it's broadly or not is a question we can address.
But it's an important question.
Of course it is. But if it does broadly include it in, are you suggesting to me that there's a possibility that 500 years down the line, okay, because it is so broad, yeah, are you suggesting that 500 years down the line, when perhaps we may find another aspect of the universe which we do not know about today, it will still fit within the statement?
It may do, it may not do, hey?
Excellent.
Could be either way.
Excellent. It may not do. Now,
that's the beauty of the verse, isn't it?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It actually establishes your point for you. Yeah? Because if it is broad, then you are making the admission that it possibly can be included. But for that to happen, yes, the writer would need to know the exact appropriate word to apply so that it can include everything.
I would suggest not necessarily in that sense.
Please tell me why.
So to make it even easier, he could have just said, I clothed asunder. I clothed the heavens asunder without the earth, as an example, because obviously the earth is part of the heavens. If we go to the godly view, would you agree or not agree?
No.
Is the earth not part of the heavens?
You see, if the creator, as an example, because we've introduced, let's keep him aside. If the statement says the heavens and the earth were joined together, yeah, we have started there. Now we are saying, okay, let's see if we can regurgitate the statement and come up with something better.
Sure, okay, you use that word.
Okay, so you are telling me, well,
because you were originally saying, how do we make it, is that statement, the broad statement that obviously alludes to a creator?
No, I said to you that if you are saying you are accepting that broadly speaking, I'm saying, well, what you are really saying to me is that the statement, the way it is worded, is actually giving it that possibility. 500 years down the line, if a new discovery is made about the universe, it will fit. Now, we are
also
saying
possibly it might not.
Agreed.
So agreed. Speculating.
No. I agree with you. No. But I'm only going on what you said. That if the word broadly is used, so then I said to you, okay, Rob, let's see, how better can we have that verse put?
Okay, so from my point of view, because that's all I can do, I can't do yours.
Of course.
The more accurate the verse, the more likely it is I am to look at it and consider it more seriously. The more broad the verse, the less likely I am to consider that, because I've only got living today in 2016 and whatever happens, so I can only evaluate things on what we currently know. I can't do anything else.
Of course, that's understandable and logical.
When I look at the book, I go, that's a relatively broad statement, broad-ish. It could be more broad, it could certainly be more specific. And so just from my point of view as a disbeliever, non-believer, I'm going, that's a reasonably broad statement. It's not, it could be closer, as I've alluded to, and you have countered that by saying, but no, it is reasonably accurate, and it can be more accurate in the future. And I've said, yes, it could be more accurate or proven or not be.
Agreed.
So I'm just going from my point of view. So it goes back really to the very beginning of going, hey, there's these verses here. I just, as a non-believer, which is all I can talk about, it feels that you're on better ground, and if I were to evaluate it, I'm much more likely to evaluate it as just a statement rather than trying to pin it down to being as accurate as we can be today, because that's where I would have the thing. So I'm happy with that.
Agreed. Now, the way I'm looking at this, Rob, is this, that when I look at the statements, I'm not only looking at them per se, I'm trying to understand what the intent was of those statements. So, for example, when I see, while we are on the subject matter, I'm just introducing it.
Go ahead.
Where I see a statement which says, okay, a group of people were put to sleep for a period of hundreds of years. Okay, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, what is this trying to say to me? What is that verse trying to establish for me? Okay, and I will start inquiring. Yeah, I want to know what it is trying to say. Yes. Now, what happens there is that when I'm looking at the statement, I don't look at it and say, oh, this is a scientific statement, hurrah. I don't look at it that way. I'm looking at information as knowledge. The word science has been hijacked, as I'm saying, okay? Because it automatically has restricted a lot of other learning simply because there is a method which they will employ. And if nothing fits within that method, it is not taken seriously, which is unfortunately a flaw. Okay? But having said that, the way I look at it, when I see a statement, I want to know what the import is of that statement. And if I come across something that is contained in the Quran, which may be of benefit, which it is, guaranteed not may, which is of benefit to humanity once the information has been extracted. Yeah? Because there's an interesting turn on language here that I will just discuss with you for a few seconds. You see the word ayah, A-Y-A-H is used, okay? For every ayah of the Quran, we call it in English verses, yeah? Statements, call it what you want. But the word ayah actually means a sign to something. You know how you have a signboard. Now when it is talking about a certain aspect, it is giving you a sign towards what the reality is of that particular subject matter. Yes? I would humbly submit to you. Because if it is, then it encourages me to do further study to establish whether the signboard has taken me where I need to go. Okay? So, for example, just using this verse, I am told that the heavens and the earth were joined together and we clothed them asunder. Okay? And then I am told about the steady state theory. Yeah? That the universe has always existed. I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, wait a minute, it's not fitting with this. The model is talking about the steady state. Yes? The ayah here is talking about something which was together and then when? There must have been a beginning. I'm theorizing. Okay? Now, as soon as I come across a certain body of facts, should I bother for another 100 years or whatever my lifetime is to try and prove the steady state? I would suggest no. The sign is taking me somewhere else. I'm following the sign. Now, do you want to call it belief? Do you want to call it a fact that has been established and now you need the details? All, you know, the bones, yeah? We've got it there. We want to follow it through, yeah? So when I am looking at a statement in the Quran, I see it as a statement of fact. If it is of benefit to humanity from an unbeliever's perspective, it shouldn't be a problem. But I know that every statement that is in a book can be assessed, can be critically evaluated. We know that in this country or any other country, when the legal writers are framing the statutes, they have to be very, very careful about what word they employ where. Why?
So that it's not misinterpreted.
But for us, that can only happen once it has been established by the writers. They have conceivably looked at every possible scenario of weakness in the statute that they are drafting, and then they give it out. And guess what happens? The lawyers are just waiting for it to come, and then they start looking at the holes. Yeah, in a loose manner of speaking. But the point is, any accurate representation of certain phenomena, we have to consider why it has been put the way it has. And I would suggest that anyone who tells me, look, I think the statement could have been better, I say no problem. But for you to be able to say that, yeah, even on the short amount of facts that we do possess, the small amount, yeah, I would then have to turn around and say, well, look, if there is a creator and the creator has given information, then it is in totality. And for us to be able to counter some statement we would need to know in totality, whatever that is, about the subject matter before we can confidently assert that the statement could or can be improved.
Okay, but that's not how we live our lives. Even if I accepted your premise, that's not how we live, though, is it? Because we don't live our lives trying to get to the totality of anything in order to make a decision or in order to evaluate things, do we?
Interestingly enough, I was reading Sam Harris's book on spirituality without religion.
Yes, waking up. Yeah.
Waking up. In there, he says we don't have enough time to be able to find X, Y, and Z. To me, that was an interesting statement by Sam Harris. Are you suggesting that the majority of your life you are going to live by what you would call faith?
But no non-believer uses that word, so you...
Of course not. And he points it out. He says, well, there is no other word to use but possibly faith. Yeah? And
I would use a different word, but okay.
But I'm just going on what he said.
Sure.
Yeah? But then he goes and he says, well, no, let's look at what in effect he's saying, don't miss the glory by thinking about things that are irrelevant. But the interesting point that he made there was when he says one lifetime isn't enough to find everything out.
Of course, we all know that.
I'm thinking, is this the same Sam Harris who wrote The End of Faith? It is, and he actually mentions it. He says, I may have said something, yes, and today I may have to take it back.
Does he?
I'm talking about what he said.
Yes, yeah. But does he say
in
that?
effect, that is what he's saying.
Okay, I'll look that up on the blog.
Please do. Yeah, because he is saying spirituality. He said there is no other word but to use the word spirituality. Now, stop there.
He does say though that it adds a lot of baggage with it.
He does. He says that.
Yeah.
But here's the point: is spirituality a scientific inquiry?
Is the term a scientific inquiry? Or can
let's use the word spirituality the way we commonly understand it.
What is that?
Is it a scientific inquiry? Something that is not testable.
So are you saying that spirituality isn't testable?
It isn't.
Okay, what do you mean by spirituality?
There you are. We all will have different interpretations,
Correct.
but I will tell you what it is. Spirituality is something associated to a being, not a human, not something that is verifiable, something that you can consider to be esoteric or metaphysical.
Sure.
Okay. But then now this is going flip side from his stance before. That, look, science is verifiable. There is, in fact, he himself said, there is a scientific basis for morality.
Yes.
Now he has written a book in which he's saying, you can have spirituality without religion. Now, the interesting point, as I said, was when he said in the book, there isn't enough in one lifetime. And that rang bells in my head. I'm thinking, Mr. Harris here is conceding to the very notion that he has fought all these years, that we have to live our lives predominantly by faith. The word may not be used, but in effect, that is what is being said. So I turn it on its head and I say, wait a minute, if that is the case, as you rightly pointed out, do we have enough time in a lifetime to be able to discover absolutely everything?
No.
But what we can do is look at the certain things that we can study and critically analyze them against what is making a claim, whether it be the Bible, the Quran, or Professor Roger Penrose's book.
Correct.
It doesn't make a difference. We owe it to ourselves to be able to establish it. The problem we are facing, honestly, is the majority of my atheist friends, yes, will instantly exclude anything to do with certain buzzwords, one of them being spirituality. Oh, you're delusional.
Really? They say that?
No, of course.
Oh, okay.
And if you want what I'm saying, just go on any one of these YouTube atheist videos. Mm-hmm. The kind of crass language that they use about religionists is unbecoming of a human being, but I can understand. Because it is like letting go and saying, I'm game for anything and everything because I don't have any kind of rules. This is my perspective, by the way.
Okay.
But having said that, my atheist friends will automatically, as soon as you say, okay, I tell you what, let's consider metaphysics. No, I'm sorry. Is it verifiable? Is it testable? Is it falsifiable? Well, now when Sam Harris is talking about spirituality, it's throwing a spin to this, and I can understand why he is saying it. Because he has done what most human beings should do. He studied matters. He looked into them to establish whether his perspective is entirely correct or not. And he is man enough to admit, many years ago he may have said X, but now he's saying Y. The view...
Okay, we've got this on video. Give me, if you've read it, give me, you don't have to say it for word, but give me what the crux of that part of it, because I've not heard that said in the sense of like he's now, to use my words, to paraphrase what you say, he's changed his mind.
Absolutely. I'm just talking about the word spirituality and the way he's applied it in the book. Many years ago, he would not touch anything to do with religion, because at that time religion was
but spirituality and
if
religion,
I can just say, they were associated with religion, and that's the point he was trying to make. The fact is, the bottom line is, no matter what you say about spirituality, for as long as it is not a verifiable science, no way are you going to be able to divorce it from what we call religion. I do not subscribe to the word religion. I said that to you the first time we met.
Yeah.
But the point is that there is an emphasis here being made by him. Whatever he is saying in the book, he goes on to explain why he's taking this position. The point is, he has taken that position now. Why? As he rightly pointed out, and you said it, there is excess baggage that goes with it. Yeah? But he wants the reader to see whether his perspective is at least he thinks is the correct one. The point is not that, the point is what I said earlier on. Is it a verifiable science? No. If it isn't a verifiable science, an avowed atheist like Mr. Harris, yes, is now touching on aspects which he himself many moons ago had said he would not touch, not in specific words. But if you read The End of Faith,
yes, I've read it.
In everything he says, he's blaming what I would call religion. He talked about the Nazis in Germany, and what did he say? In the final statement, in the final sentence, he says you can somehow relate it to religion. And I'm thinking, well, I can understand, because when you have a bias, that is all you want to keep bringing up to justify your position. But right and true to the guy he is, he's written a book in which he is talking about something which is not verifiable scientifically. There is an emphasis, there is a shift. But the point that we have to address, Rob, is that, as you rightly pointed out, if we don't have enough in one lifetime, at least there are certain subject matter which we can address and use in our lifetime, or practically use our lives to establish the truth of an assertion.
Okay. Where should we go with that?
Home.
You hypnotise me, you talk so long.
Sorry,
and I let you know, but that's okay, it's all fine.
Yeah.
I've read most of his stuff, and I've read Waking Up and so forth, and I'm not sure that's an accurate representation of what he says, or...
Between pages 23 and 27.
Hang on a sec, before we get there...
I'm just telling you where it is.
Okay.
Yeah, in Waking Up.
You've memorized, and that's about spirituality, yes?
Yeah, because that's what he talks about in Waking Up.
So your claim is that he's changed his mind from being a devout atheist. By the way...
No, I didn't say that. I'll say it again.
Okay.
I said an avowed atheist is leaning on something, spirituality, which is not scientifically verifiable. That is a major shift for him.
But what is the Waking Up book actually about?
How, according to him, you can have spirituality without religion.
But that's not the crux of the book. That's like the byline, the tagline. What is he actually talking about in the book?
I just told you.
The spirituality is a word he uses to differentiate between religion and another practice.
No, not only that, he also talks about how when he was age 16, he went into, at the start of the book.
That's right.
When he talks about that, he then follows it up and he says, look, I'm going to be able to show how we can possibly do what we call spirituality, or practice it, yes, without the need for religion.
And what is that spirituality he talks about? What does it encompass in his view?
No. What he is talking about is, look, from what I have gathered, he says, religion, leave aside, many people have talked about spirituality in a particular way. Some of it has aspects to truth, What he is establishing, according to what I am reading, is that I am sat here, I want that peace that a lot of other people have connected to.
Yes.
Yeah? And this is the basis for which I think you can achieve it.
And what is the basis he talks about? He talks about practical things that you can do in this world in order to attempt to get to that peace, correct? Because he couldn't be talking about something else.
No. What are you saying he's saying? Because as far as I can read, my rendering is simple. He is touching on spirituality in whatever manifestation he has brought. The fact is he's talking about spirituality, and it is not a verifiable science. That's the point I'm making.
Okay.
What is yours?
Okay, so my point is he's using the label spirituality because it's what people understand as a word to use that is non-religious. He then goes on to talk about how you can meditate and you can do various things that can improve your life. Those are the parts that he kind of labels as spirituality.
I'm so glad you touched on that. The things he said to do.
Yes.
Were they already being done?
By him or other people?
No, by other people.
Sure, yes.
When he talked about the Vedics from the Far East.
Yes.
Okay. Is that in religion?
In what religion?
Whichever it is he pointed to.
Is the practice they're talking about in the religion?
Yeah.
I'm not an expert, possibly. I don't know. You tell me. Maybe you know more.
Well, yes, it is. But the problem here is this, and I don't have an issue with it. I'm glad he's taken the shift. Okay? He is referring to certain things which were already there. Yet in the same breath you are saying it is divorced from the word religion. How is that possible?
Because can you not take certain things from different religions, take them, make something new from it and give it a label? So we take the best of X, Y, and Z, we now call it ABC.
Now I would humbly suggest to you that if as an individual I was logically addressing something, I would come to the conclusion that for you to take the best of everything, again, we come back to that issue I talked about.
Go ahead.
How are you going to know it is the best of what ought to be the best?
With the best information we have currently.
Best information.
Is that,
agree with you.
Okay.
I agree with you. Best information we have.
Correct.
Now, for us to be able to be very, very good human beings, I would submit, we would need the necessary information which we will be able to use, and it will be of benefit to us and to the whole of humanity.
Agreed.
Okay. But that will necessarily mean, and logically, it will mean that you can't only have your life in a spiritual manner.
Depends what you mean by spiritual, but
there
probably agree.
We are back to it. Okay? Because the definition.
Okay, but what's the point? Sorry.
Basically, the information that I would need as a human being would take into consideration every aspect that my life is associated with. And that would necessarily mean social, scientific, legal. Now, do you think spirituality can give you that? According to what we understand the word conventionally.
Can it do it? No, it's not going to be able to do all of that.
It can't.
It's an aspect, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that would necessarily mean that aspect is for certain individuals who are seeking it. That aspect is not going to be able to give you definitive rules on how to engage between two individuals if a disagreement takes place.
Sure.
Me and this brother here, pardon me to use you as an example, me and this brother can say, we are disagreeing over the money that he has paid me or I paid him.
Yes.
Okay, you know what, let's sit down and let's meditate and hope that it will disappear and the answer will come. It won't work. We know, practically speaking, we have got courts of law because every day thousands of people disagree over matters and they are taken in.
I'm not sure you can say that as an absolute.
No, I'm not saying it as an absolute.
It could be that the two of you could meditate and one of you could go, do you know what, I've got a sign or I've now felt differently, whatever the case is. It could be, but I agree that it's not in totality an answer for everything.
I agree with you. Now, if I were to take your logic forward and I said to you, okay, this aspect here may give you the answer, this aspect is certain, which one would you follow?
The certainty.
Why?
Because I'm much more likely to use that in the real world.
Can spirituality give you that?
Give me what?
That certainty?
Depends again what you mean by spirituality.
Some people claim it can. First.
I don't.
Which person has
like
claimed
the word
it can?
I don't like the word spirituality.
No, you said some people can.
Some people, so like a Buddha, for example, or I know a person who cured themselves.
A Buddha?
Hang on.
Yeah, sorry.
Spirituality in the.
I see
because
what
we
you
need
mean.
to define spirituality.
Exactly.
Correct.
Yeah, sure.
But I know somebody, as in I've read their book, as an example, who cured themselves of cancer purely through what the label they give as spirituality.
Yeah.
All they did was meditate and eat the right things, and they cured themselves of cancer about that big. In the world today, we would go, that's unusual. Most people don't cure themselves by meditating and eating good foods. Would you agree? That's not how most people go. So
Nowadays,
it depends what
yes,
you
I
mean by
agree
spirit.
with you.
I'm not sure we're going to get anywhere
No,
with
we
it.
won't. Rob, you're absolutely right. But just interestingly on the point you made, you know when this person, whoever you are talking about, meditated, ate, and cured themselves of cancer, yes?
Yes.
How would we view that from a scientific standpoint?
We'd have to investigate that and go,
Would we call them mad? Would we call them delusional? Would we call them, you've lost it, this is not how the world works?
no rational person would do that, no.
Why not?
Because we'd investigate what happened. A, did they have a cancer? B, now they don't. What is their claim for getting rid of it?
Yes.
Can we investigate that claim?
Absolutely.
Can we replicate that with other people who have cancer like them?
Yeah.
Does it work? So
Now,
no, I wouldn't.
unfortunately, if we try to replicate it, it ain't going to work.
We don't know that.
We know that.
Well, how do we know
Because there are many instances where people have done that, but sadly they have died. But you are right. The point here is this. If there are aspects which we still do not know and we have to accede to them, then we have to also accept that there are many things which we are going to find out which may turn our understanding of the world. And in that, like I said, I respect Mr. Harris for it, because there is an emphasis here that he has made in terms of the word spirituality. Although he rightly points out he's not using it in a conventional way, but unfortunately he is relying on the very things which would constitute the word religion. So whether you want to play a nuanced game on this, fine. The fact is, or the bottom line as it were, it's in religion. Either you say, I wholesale reject it, or you say, well, look, I did reject it at one time, but now I'm putting my hand up and saying, look, there are certain aspects of it that are very positive for humanity. No problem. And all we would say is, excellent. Now just go a bit further and you'll come to it totally. So, that's how it works.
Yes, and he would, I suggest, vehemently disagree with you, but that's fine.
I agree with you, Rob, but I know from the books that I have read of Mr. Harris,
Yes.
sooner or later he will come to accept what is actually true.
Which is what?
Find out when he says it, you'll know.
He hasn't said it
Honestly,
yet, though.
he will.
Okay.
Because he's an honest inquirer. Okay, he comes out with some crass statements, but he's entitled to that. But he will come to the truth.
And what?
That I can
but we've got it
guarantee
on camera here, 2016. Give me a prediction. What truth do you think he'll come
do
to?
I look like a prophet to you?
No, but you talked about it.
No.
You talked about he'll come to the truth.
What did I say?
He will come
He's
to.
a genuine inquirer.
Yes, and he'll come
So,
to the truth.
Absolutely, but
What is that truth?
I'll tell you what I mean by that.
Yes, go ahead.
He himself is doing the necessary inquiries.
Yes.
He has now engaged in what you would call metaphysical aspects. So he's coming slowly. Now, if
I
you
don't
tell
think he
me,
has. I think you
I'm
misinterpreted that.
I'm merely
when
saying
you go
that. But what I'm
metaphysical.
saying to you, simply put, it will come. Now, if you ask me, okay, give me a time limit, I would say no, I wouldn't
not
do
a time
that.
limit. What is it?
I
What do you
would-
mean
I would
it will
do it.
come? What is it?
No.
What does it represent, the word it?
All the information that is needed to be able to arrive at what I would consider to be the truth.
Which is what?
Now, don't start me on that one, okay? We've already had an hour. But as far as Dr. Harris is concerned, he will arrive at it. That I can tell you. Now, whether he will pluck up the courage to write the book, that's another question which we'll have to ask, hopefully, in a few years down the line.
Okay, but you still haven't said what the truth is, though. Is he in? Okay, so let me paraphrase it for you. Do you think he's going to become a Muslim?
And I'll tell you what. You see, when you use the word truth, we used it just now without even defining what we mean by
Yes,
truth.
I know. But you've said
So
he will come to it.
I would say he would come to the truth, and I did say that he would come to the truth. Now, do you have a problem with me using the word truth the way it is understood between me and you?
No.
That's what I mean.
So my thing is, you said he will come to the truth. Rephrase that and be.
Why should I rephrase it?
Because what is the truth? Tell me what the truth
Okay,
is.
I'll
So
tell-
is the truth Islam? In other words, will Sam Harris convert to Islam?
I'll tell you.
Because that's a claim that we can now have on camera and we can go yes or no.
You see, Rob, I said the truth. Me and you now should define what truth is. What is it?
It is.
What is it?
So you're using a very metaphysical, not a metaphysical, very broad term, the truth. I think you will come to the truth.
I agree with you. Paul, I mean Rod, sorry. But you are right, aren't you? Did you just say it's very broad? Why?
What do you mean why?
Why is the term broad, the term truth?
Because it's a label to represent many things.
There you are. So in totality, what do we have?
What do you mean, what do we have?
Well, if you apply a word to all the information in totality, what would it be?
All the information, knowledge.
Knowledge. Use the word truth, what would that mean?
That which is comports with reality, in other words.
That's what I mean.
Okay.
And that's exactly what he will do.
Okay, so he's not there yet, presumably. Because you say he's going to come to it.
He's going to come to it.
Okay, so he's not there
He's nearly there.
He's nearly there?
Yeah, nearly there. He's not there yet, according to my understanding.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So could you just give me one little bit of information that would help him get there? What is it that you suggest?
Are you Professor Harris?
No,
I mean Dr. Harris? No, I'll give it to him.
Oh, that's a bit cheeky though.
No, it's not.
You say he'll come to the truth, and I ask you for one little step that would help him, because I can send him, I can say, Dr. Harris,
you mean
I've got
it
somebody.
in that way? I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
All he needs to do is go further, study all the religions that he despises so much.
But hasn't he studied them already?
Not all to the totality that he needs to.
Okay.
He will.
You think he hasn't studied Islam or Christianity, enough?
No, I didn't say that. I said all of them. Yeah, now.
Why does he need to study all of them?
There you are again. You see, we are going from one question to another. That is why I said I'll deal directly with Mr. Harris. Is that okay?
Sure, brother.